Professor Chow. I'm here to record Lab6 and get you some information on how to complete this. If you want to start and follow along at home, you can go to my website over here. The URL is as follows, up at the top there. Let's get into this. So in prep, we want to actually do some of this on paper or in an example here where we're actually calculating all of these calculations before we actually do anything. So the goal of this lab is to convert a given number of input seconds into the number of hours, the minutes, and the output seconds that are left in this. So notice here, just like in some of the previous homework where we had a total ounces and an ounces given, we've got this input seconds, and then we've also got output seconds. So these are two separate things, and you want to keep those straight and have a difference between those two. All right, let's go ahead and load this, and we'll create this and create a Java file. Here we're going to want to create a new program called seconds.java with a capital S, as it says there. So we'll go public class seconds, and we'll create that seconds file. Make sure that's there, and then we'll go ahead and 6 seconds lab conversion lab. Go ahead and create that there, and then have abided the JMU other code, and we'll close out that java.comment. All right, then we'll create a public static void string array args void main string array args, and we'll go ahead and create a java.comment for that. Go ahead and start this and save that off on our desktop as seconds.java. All right, so coming back to here, I'm going to actually grab these numbers that we want here, and I'm going to copy them into my comments here for my main method. That way I'll have this information available. Then I'm going to actually get rid of these because I know that these are tabs and I don't want tab characters in here. Ooh. Otherwise it's going to do some bad things. All right, so now we know how many hours, minutes, and seconds that is. Same thing here, same thing here. All right. Put an asterisk in front of that. This is a great way to start your documentation out for any of your descriptions too, for your java.comments, so that you have some meaningful information here from the given, and you have some documentation for us to let us know what you knew about how to solve this problem. All right, so I'm going to create the java.comment here. I'm going to add an import statement to put the scanner at the top here. So I want to import java.util.scanner. The top there. Then I'm going to set up a new scanner object. I've already done this before, so let's go ahead and put a scanner object here. We're going to go ahead and comment this in here, and we'll call this one input. So I like that one a little bit better than the keyboard. All right, so let's save that, and then let's do a check style on it. It's got tab characters in there, so these have tab characters in there. now we've hopefully gotten rid of all the tab characters. And let's see, where is it that's still got a tab? In line 15, we still have a tab. Let's see where this is. Inside of here, maybe? Yes, there. So let's go ahead and get that in. Get rid of that. All right, let's see if we've gotten rid of all the tab characters now. Yep, now we've gotten rid of all the tab characters. Good to go. Let's move on to the next part, this implementation. So we know that 5,000 hours is 1 hour, so that's 60 minutes plus 23 extra minutes and then 20 seconds. So what we want to do here is, after we've done those things, let's start to declare all of our variables here. And we're going to probably want an input seconds. So we're going to create a int input seconds. I'm going to create an int for hours, int for minutes, and int for output seconds. All right. So we're going to want to give a prompt here for the user to enter the number of seconds. So we'll do a system out print. And then we'll go input seconds that we declared just a second ago equals input dot next int. We'll collect that from the scanner object using the next int method. So that's input dot next int, where we're calling the method next int within the scanner class, and then we're going to, and this input object, and then we're going to go ahead and store that in input seconds, the int value variable. All right, from there, we're going to come into here and we're going to calculate the equivalent hours, minutes, and seconds. So for this calculation, what we're going to need to do is our hours are going to be equal to the input seconds divided by, integer divided by 3600. And that we got that number from, there's 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. So to get the number of hours that are in this input seconds, we need to divide by this 60 times 60, or 3600 factor there. So that's doing that integer division, and that's the whole number division. So if this were a problem, what we would be doing is 5,000 divided by 3600. And so for that, we're going to get 1 in this case. So if we were doing this in the interactions pane, we can see this really quickly here. 5,000. Make sure I'm jumping into here. 5,000 divided by 3,600. Wrong one. 36,000. Let's do 3,600, and that is 1. So that's the answer we're going to expect to get. You can use that Java interactions pane in JGrasp to do these simple calculations as you're going along to check your work. Now we want to go minutes equals, and we need to take the input seconds minus the hours times 3,600. So the number of seconds that we just took into effect is at 1. Then we're going to subtract from that, and from that number, we're going to take this and divide that number by 60. But we need to do this and surround this with all these quotes here, or parentheses here, so that we can actually make that work that way. This one actually doesn't need this because the order of operations should help us out there. All right, so that will be the minutes that we have. Then finally, we need to do this as seconds, and that's going to equal the input seconds minus our hours times 3,600 minus our minutes times 60. And that will be the leftover seconds. So this output seconds will be input seconds minus the hours times 3600 minus the minutes times 60. All right. Then we're going to want a system out print line to give that buffer there, that blank line buffer. Then we're going to want to print the number of seconds, hours in this. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I've actually got this already over on the other side here, so I'm going to paste that in to save some time. All right, so we want the input seconds there, and over here we want output seconds. All right, save that, compile it, end interactions and continue, and everything compiled fine. Let's go through check style and make sure that's working. Everything looks good there. The last thing we want is another one of these print lines because we need a blank line afterwards. I'd already noticed that, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there so that we have it. So that's the second line. Then let's go ahead and run this. So let's go ahead and compile it again. And if we run it, we're going to ask for the number of seconds. Let's go 3625, this second one. And it's going to say that's 1 hour, 0 minutes, and 25 seconds. Okay, and that's correct up here if we double check our work. Let's run this one more time and make sure that third value works in there. So if we have 1,000 seconds, that's 0 hours, 16 minutes, and 40 seconds. So that's also checking out. So then we could just take this and we could do what we call a diff on this to check that it is having the right output. So this part 3 here, where we're going to use the diff program, I'm going to go ahead and run this at the command line level. So I will go ahead and run this here. If I go here and go to my desktop, I've got this seconds, Java C, seconds.java. Then I can go Java seconds, and I can say 1,000, and it will give me that correct number. Let's go ahead and run this through the way that it's asking us to here. We're going to take this expected file and this other output file. So we're going to run it this way with this command at the command line. And it's going to enter that 1,000 in, because if we do a catalog of this input.txt, the number that we're passing in as an argument to our program when we're running seconds is 1,000. So that argument is from that args, as in string array args. This is the argument. 1,000 is the parameter that we're passing, or the argument we're passing in is 1,000. That's the value of that will get filled into the parameter args inside of main. All right. So let's go ahead and run this difference piece. We can do a redirection of output here, and it will go ahead and take the seconds file here, and we're going to run the seconds file. We're going to have input of input.txt, which is that 1,000. We're going to output this to another file called output.txt. So now we have that output run to the output.txt, and what we're going to do is we're going to try and run a diff of expected.txt. I've already downloaded this previously, and output.txt. And if I hit it, it says that there are no differences in here. So you can also run this meld expected.txt and output.txt if you have meld available on the Linux machine. On my Mac, I don't have that available, but there is a another program that I can run, and I will go ahead and run that on my Mac to show you how I can do a visual difference file here. To see that FileMerge on the Mac is the piece that we can run. So let's go ahead and find that FileMerge, and I'll run that app. I'm going to compare on one side. I'm going to compare this desktop value. I'm going to compare this expected, and I want to compare it against the output. And I'll compare the two, and if I run the comparison, it says 0 differences here, and it shows you that there are no differences. If this had any differences, like a space in here, let's go ahead and run this. Let's show you by actually changing files here. We'll go ahead and change the expected manually. We'll go ahead and change this expected value to have a space in it. We'll save that, and then we'll have that over here. Let's go ahead and run this again. And the diff looks like this, just like it does in AutoLab. It's going to say there's a space over here between that and showing you that there's a space in here, but yours does not have the space out there. It doesn't highlight it like AutoLab with those brackets, but this is what the diff program does. Similarly, if we go to this, back to this FileMerge on the Windows side, we'll be able to take a look at that as well and get to the actual FileMerge. If we go into here and we run this again, let's go ahead and recompare the files, and now it's showing us here in this blue that there is a difference. There's one difference here between this file and this one. It's got a new line here, and then it's got a space right there that it's showing us is different between the two. So that's what we've got there, and that shows us how to do Lab 6 with also doing some difference testing.